when you're talking about life and love and spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ chapter by chapter and verse by verse, life is one day at a time.com. Welcome to Life is One Day at a Time.com. I'm Minister Chestnut. Thank you for joining me again on another day of life and another day of love to live in His riches and glory. But first, I'd like to wish you grace, mercy, and peace for 2022. Hey, we're almost through, getting into 2023, and guess what? We're going to continue in 2023 with grace, mercy, and peace. I hope most of you have been enjoying it as I have, because it's been a good year. I mean, there's been ups and downs, but hey, I'm walking by faith and not by sight. And I'll see you in 2023. But right now, we're still in the Gospel of Luke. And we continue. Jesus had just healed a lady of infirmity 18 years on the Sabbath day. And the Pharisees, they trying to say, hey, this is the 6 days we ought to work. On the seventh day, we just need to worship. Hey, Jesus set them straight and they were ashamed. We continue. Then he said, until what is the kingdom of God like? And whereunto thee shall I resemble it? It is like a grain of a mustard seed, which a man took and cast into the garden, and it grew, and waxed a great tree, and the fowls of the air lodged in the branches of it. That's how the kingdom of God is going to be. I mean, there's going to be room for everyone who believes. And again he said, whereunto shall I liken the kingdom of God? It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of wheat, till the whole was leavened. And he went through the cities and villages, teaching and journeying toward Jerusalem. He had to get back to Jerusalem. That's where he was going to finish his mission. But he was teaching, healing, and journeying. I mean, he was moving around, going everywhere he could to share the kingdom of God. Then said one unto him, Lord, there are few that be saved. And he said unto them, strive to enter in at the strait gate, for many, I say unto you, will seek to enter in, and shall not be able. That means, what was he talking about? He's talking about the door that you go through to accept Jesus Christ. Think about this now. When once the master of the house is risen up and hath shut the door, you begin to stand without and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us. And he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not whence you are. He said, I don't know who you are. You knocking at midnight. He's already unlocked the door. Then shall you begin to say, we have eaten and drunk in thy presence, and thou hast taught in our streets. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence you are. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. I mean, they heard the word, but did they receive it? There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you shall see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and you yourselves thrust out. I mean, that's going to be a sad sight when you know that, hey, you should be on this side with all the prophets in your family, but you're going to get kicked out because you didn't believe. And they shall come one from the east and from the west, and from the north and from the south, and shall sit down in the kingdom of God. And behold, there are the last which shall be first, and the first shall be last. How does that work? Well, if if you died first, then you might be last. But if you're the last one to die, then you'll be the first to get into the kingdom of heaven. It's a complicated situation, but he's telling you the first is going to be last and the last is going to be first. The same day there came a certain of the Pharisees saying to him, Get thee out and depart hence, for Herod will kill thee. And he said to them, Go ye and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. What is he talking about? He don't. He's not concerned about Herod killing him, okay? Because he knows 3 days, 3 nights, and he's going to rise again. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. He had to get to Jerusalem. That was his mission. He's teaching and proclaiming the kingdom all the way. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets and stonest them that are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together as a hen does gather her brood under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. And verily I say unto you, you shall not see me until the time comes when you shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Now you know when that's coming, right? That's just before Good Friday, but we're not there yet. Verse 14. And it came to pass, when he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy. And Jesus answered and spake unto the lawyers and the Pharisees, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? Now, a couple of weeks ago, they accused him, talking about there's only 6 days that man should be working, and on the seventh day you should rest. What are you gonna say? They held their peace. They couldn't say nothing. And he took him and healed him and let him go. And they answered them, saying, Which of you shall have an ass or an ox falleth into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? They knew they would. And they could not answer him again to these things. They held their peace. They couldn't say nothing. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he had marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, When thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee and him come and say to thee, Give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room. Be humble. Don't be a braggart. But when thou art bidden to go and sit down in the lowest room, and when he that bade thee to come, that he may say unto thee, Friend, go up higher, then thou shalt have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee. For whosoever exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbled himself shall be exalted. Simple as that. Say, don't be a braggart. Don't think so highly of yourself, that you'll be abased, brought down. But humble yourself. People who know you, they know your worth, they'll exalt you. Then he said also to him that bade him, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy brethren, neither thy kinsmen, nor thy rich neighbors, lest they also bid thee again, and a recompense be made of thee. It's like, hey, you invite me today, I'll pay you back tomorrow. You don't want to constantly invite people that that's going to do the same thing to you again. You want to invite people that cannot repay you. But when thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and thou shalt be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee, and thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. Then, when one of them that sat at meat said unto him, heard these things, he said unto him, Blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. Then he said unto him, A certain man made a great supper, and invited many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, Come, all things are now ready. And they all, with one consent, began to make excuses. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. Making excuses. And another said, I have brought 5 loaves of oxen, and I must go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. Another excuse. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed the Lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angrily, said to his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and to the lanes of the city, and bring in the poor, and the maimed, and the halt, and the blind. And the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. And the Lord said unto the servant, Go out into the highways and the hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you, that none of these men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. And there went great multitudes with him. And he turned and said unto them, If any man come unto me, and hate not his father and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciples. Now, when he said, hate his mother or your father, so it's not really hate, it's loving less. You have to love your God, Jesus, more than your own life, more than your sister's mother, father, sister, brother. You know what he said, verse 27, and whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Okay, that's 2 things he said. You got to love him more, and you have to bear your cross. For which of you intended to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish? Lest haply after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first to consult whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desireth conditions of peace. Hey, he's making the comparisons to let you know what you ought to do. How do you think before you start something? So when you start something, that you'll be able to finish it. So likewise, whosoever shall be of you that forsaketh not all that he had, he cannot be my disciple. You gotta consider the facts before you begin. Salt is good, but when salt have lost its flavor, where shall it be seasoned? It is neither fit for the land nor yet the dunghill, but men cast it out. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. And I'm out of time. We'll pick this up next week on another episode of Life is One Day at a Time.com. How hard is it for everyone everywhere to come together and pray? Stop, take a minute, pray, rejoice. Don't forget, Life is One Day at a Time.com comes on every week with Minister Chestnut, live and in living color. So be there every week, because Jesus is our rock.